Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's another episode of Seahawks Now, and today we got more exciting trade rumors. Check out down below. NFL writer says the Seahawks could trade for the Cheetah himself. Tyreek Hill, could he be coming to Seattle, guys? That would be crazy if he did. Plus, Jalen Milroe was in for his official visit with the Seahawks. We'll talk about whether or not I think he'd be a good fit for the team. And another sleeper wide receiver we could pick in the later rounds of this draft is Ricky White. We'll talk about that. All that and more right here today on Seahawks Now. But first, you know what to do. You remember the drill. Hit the subscribe button down below. It really helps the video, really helps the channel out. And hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another breaking news alert. All right, guys, let's get into it. Jalen Milroe visited Seattle, but first I want to talk about Tyreek Hill, the Cheetah himself. Tyreek Hill, there's some people who believe he could be on the trade block this year, and I didn't realize this was actually a thing, but according to Jeremy Brenner of Seahawks on SI, he could be a potential option to help replace DK Metcalf. The Seahawks could trade for Miami Dolphins star wide receiver Tyreek Hill. This was written 5 hours ago, so it's very, very new. These are fresh rumors. It says the Seahawks have had a transformative offseason. We know this. They got Cooper Kupp. They traded away DK Metcalf. However, the team could look to add another weapon on the trade market with the NFL draft rapidly approaching. Fan-sided contributor Simon Short believes that the Seahawks could be a landing spot for Dolphins star Tyreek Hill. He writes, while the new-look wide receiver core isn't as bad as we all thought it would be, it still needs more talent. Seattle made some major changes this offseason. Smith and Metcalf are looking for long-term contracts. We know this. Darnold and Kupp only got guaranteed money in 2025. A trade for Tyreek Hill could fall in line with that idea since Hill only has guarantees this year, but the talent would be higher than what they have now. Multiple of their day 3 picks probably wouldn't get the trade done, so they might have to offer up the 92nd pick. But with 5 picks on day 2, it's a move they can stomach. Yes, they do have 5 picks on day 2. They have 2 in the second round, 3 in the third round. They're expected to use at least 1 pick on a wide receiver, but if they were to trade 1 or 2 of those selections for Hill, they could get better results quicker. I agree somewhat, but I would be cautious. I would be very cautious in giving up draft stock for Tyreek Hill because he is getting older, and last year was the worst year of his career. And obviously, he's still a good player. He's still the Cheetah. But looking at his numbers, he did get worse. Now, there are trade rumors happening right now, and Dolphins general manager Chris Greer trying to shut those down, trying to say that they're not currently pursuing a trade, but there have been a lot of rumors flying around, and he has made comments that he might want out. But here's where the numbers lie. Last year, he had 959 yards, the fewest he's had in a full season, 11.8 yards per reception. That's the second lowest in a full season for him. The only one worse was in 2021 with Kansas City. He only caught 6 touchdowns. That's the fewest of his entire career. He had a success rate of 52%. That's the lowest it's been since his rookie season back in 2016. Yards per target, 7.8. Again, the lowest it's been since his rookie season. Yards per game, 56.4. The lowest, again, since his rookie season. Now, you could say on the one hand, in 2023, he was the best receiver in the league. And then in 2024, he was just a pretty average receiver despite playing in all 17 games and starting all 17. He caught 81 passes last year. That's the fewest since 2019 when he only started 12 games. And in a full season, it's the fewest since 2017. So again, why the drop-off? After being a Pro Bowler literally every year of his career, he was a Pro Bowler 8 years in a row. He was an All-Pro 5 of those 8 years. He was the Offensive Player of the Year runner-up in 2023. He received MVP votes. And in 2024, at the age of 30, it looked like he kind of fell off of a cliff. The question is, will he continue to fall off of a cliff, or is he going to be able to make a comeback and get back to that level that he was at in 2023 when he was quite literally the best receiver in the NFL and one of the best receiving seasons of all time? Personally, I kind of am worried about Tyreek Hill. I think he's a guy who's made a lot of his money based off the fact that he's really fast and really shifty. And the older he gets, if he loses his speed and his shiftiness, he's not going to be able to compete at an NFL level because he doesn't necessarily have that physicality that he needs. He's 5'10", 191 pounds. He's just not a big body. And entering his age 31 season, if he's losing his speed, if he's losing his quick step, he's losing some of his agility, losing some of his shiftiness, I don't see how he's supposed to compete at that highest level because what he's best at, he's losing those traits, and now it's being replaced by things that he's not as good at. So, yeah, I would kind of worry about Tyreek Hill. I think that the numbers last year were such a stark decline, and he wasn't really dealing with injuries either. It was really, he was healthy the whole year, and he still just wasn't putting up numbers. And so that is something that I think we should really watch for. So if I was the Seahawks, I would pass on the Tyreek Hill trade. I would rather draft a receiver in the second or third round. I think that would give us better odds. All right, let's talk about Jalen Milroe, the quarterback from Alabama, visited the Seahawks yesterday. Could he be a future Seahawk? Checking out his numbers last year, they weren't amazing. 2,844 yards, 16 touchdowns, 148.8 passer rating, 64.3% completion percentage, and 11 interceptions. Those numbers are not incredible. Now, I will say he did do some things on the ground as well. He was kind of a dual threat. But I will say, I think that with Jalen Milroe, last year was a down year for him. He was better in 2023. He had a better completion percentage, more yards, more touchdowns, and less interceptions. So he got quite significantly worse. His passer rating was down 26 points from 2023 to 2024. But again, the rushing stats last year really made up for it. He went for 726 yards, and he scored 20 touchdowns on the ground. So combined, he went for almost 3,600 yards, and he had combined for 36 touchdowns, which would be a career high for him. Again, the 11 interceptions is kind of a lot, so I would worry a little bit about that. But I do think that as a dual threat quarterback, he's probably the best dual threat option in this draft. And if you want someone who reminds you of what Jaden Daniels did, for example, in Washington last year, Jalen Milroe is probably your guy. Again, kind of struggled in the Kalen DeBoer system. He got hot at the end of the year. He didn't play as well early on with Kalen DeBoer. He played better with Nick Saban. So that's definitely something to consider. But coming into Seattle, I think they would probably be asking Jalen Milroe to be a backup, at least for that first year, because they do already have Sam Darnold. They did just pay Sam Darnold a really big amount of money to be their starter next year. So, yeah, the chances are if the Seahawks do bring in Jalen Milroe, they're bringing him in to be a backup. And the question is, how would that fit? Would he fit in with Drew Lock on the team as well? Does it make sense to bring in a third quarterback when you already have Lock and Darnold? I think it could make sense. I think Jalen Milroe could be a good option. I'm not tied to this guy. I don't think that, I'm not obsessing over him the way that I've obsessed over Jackson Dart. You know this. I love Jackson Dart. I think he's going to be a stud. But with Jalen Milroe, I think there's more questions in the air. I think his completion percentage for a collegiate player, his completion percentage needed to be better. It just wasn't at a place where it should have been for where he was at last year. I mean, he just wasn't. He needs to get better at his completion percentage, or else he's not going to go anywhere. I mean, that's really the truth. 65% in college usually translate to about 60 or 62% in the NFL, which is these days not that good. These days good in the NFL is probably 66, 67%. He wasn't even hitting that in college. I get it. He was playing in the SEC. It's tough. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I trust Jalen Milroe as a Seahawk. I wouldn't be opposed to it. If he's available in the third or fourth round, I'd take him. I would not take him in the second round. I would rather get some guys at positions that we maybe need a little bit more in the second round than to take a guy who I consider right now to be kind of a project, more likely backup quarterback than anything else. All right, guys, let's talk about Ricky White. This guy could be a day 2 or 3 steal at wide receiver. Ricky White, last season, 1,041 yards, 79 receptions, 11 touchdowns, 13.2 yards per reception, 80.1 yards per game. Those are pretty good numbers. To be honest, Ricky White III comes out of UNLV, and he's currently being projected to be probably a day 3, maybe a day 2 pick, which is the interesting thing because, honestly, I think this guy, the numbers that what we saw out of Ricky White last year at UNLV, the numbers look great. I mean, he went for over 1,000 yards, caught 11 touchdowns, 80 yards per game, but here's what NFL.com has to say. They think that he is a 5.69 grade. He's 6'1", 184 pounds, 9.25-inch hands. His production score was 78. That's the 5th best out of any receiver going into this draft. His athleticism score, 57, though, not very good. His total score was 69. He ranks as the 31st best wide receiver out of the draft. But I'm looking for diamonds in the rough. Okay, I'm looking for diamonds in the rough. NFL.com thinks that he projects to be a bottom of the roster guy, maybe even a practice squad guy is what they're writing. He just doesn't have the 40-yard time. He was at Michigan State. He transferred to UNLV. He was really good for UNLV. Mountain West Special Teams Player of the Year last year as well. First team All Mountain West Conference wide receiver. He did not play in the LA Bowl, but he was a team captain. He started 13 games. I don't understand why that people don't think this guy's going to be any good. Here's his strengths according to Lance Zierlein. He has quick deceleration, which opens windows on comebacks. He works back to the quarterback, works through the zone, times up late separations, effective jamming gunners, punt blocking machine with 4 blocks. Here's his weaknesses. He's tall but slender, doesn't have play strength, doesn't push corners on their heels, average separation, too easily jostled, and he lacks size and hand strength to finish when contested. He's rated as a productive inside-outside receiver with good instincts but below average play strength, too easily knocked around, needs to play with better care for eluding trouble, smooth in space with an easy stride, won't light it up with separation speed. A lack of size and catch strength will become exacerbated on the pro level, so refining his route running as a slot option is a must. But again, they think that he is an average backup is what they're saying. I don't know if I agree with this. I'm looking for diamonds in the rough, obviously, so maybe this is just me overthinking things, but when I look at his numbers, when I look at his accolades, special teams player of the year, he's also a stud on special teams, so even if he struggles at the receiver position, he can be really, really good on special teams. He got 4 punt blocks last year. That's crazy. Nobody gets 4 punt blocks in one season. Ricky White III did just that. So I think he could be a day 3 steal, a 6th or 7th round pick. He could be a really nice steal for the Seahawks. Most teams are projecting, he's probably going to go in the 6th, 7th, maybe even undrafted free agent is what people are saying. I think if you take him in the 6th or 7th round, I'd be all for that. I think he could be a diamond in the rough. I think he could definitely be a solid, probably not a starter ever, but a really solid wide receiver 3 who also contributes on special teams, kick returns, let's say, does some punt blocks, plays on the hands team. I think I would be all for Ricky White III. You need to get depth pieces, and he'd be a great one in my opinion. He was a team captain. He's a good guy, a player's guy, and willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win, even if it means going in dirty for the punt blocks. That's who Ricky White is. All right, guys, that's going to wrap things up for today. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and comment down below, do you want to see Jalen Milroe in the Seahawks colors next season? With that being said, I'll see you guys next time, and as always, until tomorrow, go Seahawks.